They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here, and y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
Just when it looked like the WNBA had finally figured things out and was finally ready to ride Caitlin Clark's rocket ship straight into sports relevance and serious money, they went ahead and tripped over their own shoelaces. And by tripped, I mean full-on faceplant. Because Caitlin Clark, the league's one-woman ratings machine, the only player keeping those turnstiles spinning, is now out for the rest of the season.
Let's find out what the rest of the WNBA is going to do in terms of popularity.
Yep.
You've been saying up and down that, whether tacitly or directly, that, she's getting too much shine, even though we respect and what have you. We deserve our shine. Well, now's a perfect opportunity for you to prove that. If not, acknowledge her impact on the financial aspects that she brings to the table, adopt the mentality that a rising tide lifts all boats, and learn to have an elevated level of appreciation for what she has brought to the game and assist her in making the league even more profitable.
The meltdown was instant. Fans are furious. Talk shows are in a frenzy. And Stephen A. Smith, he's practically levitating with rage. He's calling out everyone. The WNBA bullies, Commissioner Kathy Engelberg, and most especially Angel Reese, who, true to form, is out here faking a back injury like it's part of her brand strategy. If you support Caitlin, then comment baby goat over baby giraffe. Let's go.
But you have to be cognizant that no matter how you step out of your house, you are now Angel Reese. And you will always be picked apart, unfortunately.
She knows this social media. She is not dumb. She's quite a brilliant young lady. She's very smart, very accomplished. And on top of it all, she is in this age where she does know social media exists. And she has exploited it to her advantage. And so when you take that into consideration, that means you're mindful of the imagery and the perception that you're assisting in creating about yourself.
Let's pause here. Caitlin Clark is the player who turned women's basketball into actual must-see TV. Before her, watching a random WNBA game was something only your overly competitive cousin bragged about. Now, Clark had people rearranging dinner plans just to catch her logo threes. And what does the league do? They run her into the ground. The WNBA will desperately try to spin this as business as usual while the product collapses faster than Angel Reese's shot selection.
Unfortunately, though, the celebration in the WNBA, it was cut short yesterday afternoon as WNBA players learned the harsh lesson: be careful what you wish for. Headline at the New York Post: Caitlin Clark sidelined with Indiana Felines announcing shock injury. Keyword: shock. This injury was shocking, but not for reasons that you may think.
And naturally, the first person to blow a gasket over the circus was Stephen A. Smith. ESPN's king of the mic didn't just comment. He erupted. While other league voices shuffled their feet and offered limp, get-well-soon sound bites, Stephen A. came in swinging like a one-man firestorm. He ripped into the refs. He ripped into the league. And he even ripped into the jealous players who have been throwing elbows at Clark since day one. Finally, somebody said what needed to be said.
Fanatics also reported a 100% increase in sales for WNBA-specific merchandise. It started with Caitlin Clark. And so now that we know all of this, and we've known that for months, now we get to turn around and look and see what exactly is it that the league will do.
This wasn't just commentary. Stephen A. practically held court, breaking down the WNBA's incompetence like a prosecutor presenting evidence to a jury. The executives are clueless, the refs are spineless, and the Angel Reese drama is just another layer of embarrassment. You think the league can survive without Caitlin Clark? He asked basically.
Cool.
Check the numbers, then try not to cry.
Thanks to Clark, Indiana led the league in attendance both at home and on the road. The Fever averaged 17,035 fans at home and over 15,000 on the road. 4 teams moved home games to bigger arenas when Indiana came to town to accommodate more fans. That's about Caitlin Clark. How do we know this? Attendance for the entire league was up nearly 50% last year. According to data from across the timeline, and Indiana led all teams with an average attendance of 17,035. That was up 319% from the year earlier.
And let's check those numbers, shall we? Clark-led games this season averaged 1.178 million viewers. The games without her, a pathetic 394,000. That's not a dip. That's a nosedive. A cratering so steep you'd think the league fell off a cliff. And yet you still hear players like Angel Reese whining about Clark stealing all the spotlight. Newsflash. Maybe people don't tune in for a walking turnover who spends more time on Instagram than improving her game. Caitlin Clark makes people care. Angel Reese makes people roll their eyes.
We'll find out. We don't know yet, but I'm going to be really, really interested in seeing, Molly, what kind of effect this has on the WNBA's ratings, because if for some reason there is a precipitous drop-off, then everybody needs to stand down and recognize the fact that the speculation or the assertions and assumptions about her being the golden goose is validated.
Angelbert's strategy, or lack thereof, is so ridiculous it almost feels like parody. The league stumbles into its once-in-a-generation star, the one player capable of dragging them into mainstream relevance. And how does she handle it? With lukewarm press releases and no plan to protect Clark from being hacked to pieces every night. It's like stumbling upon a genie in a bottle and wasting your wish on a slightly bigger bottle. Pure incompetence.
You asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. So is it truly a broken record?
Meanwhile, Stephen A. is out here shouting, "I told you so," from the rooftops. And let's be honest, he's earned it because he's been pointing out the obvious all along. Clark isn't just the star of the WNBA, she is the WNBA. Without her, the league goes back to being irrelevant background noise. And now with her sidelined, the WNBA is scrambling to explain how their golden goose ended up battered and benched. Stephen A. even dropped some wisdom in the middle of his rant. He basically said, if Caitlin Clark is the magnet pulling in millions of eyeballs, then shut up, protect her, and ride the wave. Translation, stop pretending this is some collective movement. It's not. It's Caitlin Clark carrying the entire league on her shoulders. And if you can't see that, you don't deserve to cash a single paycheck she earned for you.
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
The numbers don't lie, and the receipts are crystal clear. Clark's debut this season against the Sky pulled 2.7 million viewers, the single most watched WNBA game on ESPN ever. That wasn't a fluke. It was a coronation. A generational player had arrived, and she was bringing millions of fans along for the ride. And what did the WNBA do in response? Did they celebrate her, protect her, and build around her? Nope. They tried to downplay her impact. They acted like acknowledging Clark's dominance would somehow diminish everyone else. Instead of leaning into the star who was rewriting the league's fortunes, they fumbled around issuing bland marketing blurbs that felt like they were written by interns.
Became the first rookie with at least 25 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in a playoff game. That was Caitlin Clark. Became the 4th different rookie to play all 40 minutes in a playoff game. That was her. I'm looking at other things. 6 different league television partners. This is last year. This is last season, because this is Caitlin Clark that we're talking about. 6 different league television partners set viewership records that year, her rookie year, for its highest viewed WNBA game. Do you know every one of those games, including the Indiana Fever?
Stephen A. saw the whole mess brewing. He watched Clark's star rise while Angel Burt shrugged, while Reese sulked, and while the refs swallowed their whistles. And now here we are. Clark benched the WNBA in full panic mode, and Stephen A. dunked on them harder than anyone thought possible. And that's the real point here. Caitlin Clark wasn't just another draft pick. She was the league's lifeline, the lottery ticket they'd been waiting decades to scratch. But instead of cherishing it, they acted like it was no big deal. Now the ticket's out of circulation, and the whole league is realizing too late that Clark isn't just valuable, she's irreplaceable. Meanwhile, Stephen A. Smith is standing tall, looking right at Angel Burt, the refs, and Angel Reese, saying the one thing they don't want to hear. You had one job: protect Caitlin Clark, and you blew it.
Rising tide lifts all boats. And if this is the magnetic traction that draws viewers to the WNBA, and her absence over the next 2 weeks due to that quad strain is providing further evidence of that, then everybody needs to accept it, stand down, and ride that wave. I'm going to be really interested in seeing how the ratings are going to look without her over the next 2 weeks. Let's make sure we come back and ask me this exact same question after she's been gone for those 2 weeks.
Bottom line, the WNBA had the golden goose in Caitlin Clark, and they treated her like just another pigeon. Stephen A. isn't just mad. He's delivering the wake-up call this league desperately needs. Clark isn't some interchangeable piece. She's the attraction, the face, and the reason sponsors are cutting checks. And if she's not protected, respected, and prioritized, the WNBA won't just lose a player. It'll lose the one chance it had to truly matter. Stephen A. Smith has been that lone voice in a crowded room of silence. While others tiptoe around fragile egos, cling to outdated narratives, and pretend Clark's success is somehow unfair, Stephen has been blunt from the start. From the moment she set foot in the league, dragging ticket sales, TV ratings, and relevance along with her, he's been the loudest voice saying, "Pay attention."
And why?
Because unlike the bitter sniping from some former players and the constant jealousy from Angel Reese, Stephen A. actually recognizes value when he sees it. He nailed it months ago. There's real resentment out there. And sure enough, that resentment has been bubbling all season.
We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here. And y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up.
Now it's reached its ugly conclusion. Clark isn't missing some throwaway Tuesday night road game that no one cared about anyway. She's missing marquee matchups, the kind of games ESPN promotes for weeks. Several nationally televised doubleheaders were wiped off the schedule. These weren't just games, they were cash cows. And without Clark, the financial gut punch is immediate and brutal. This isn't just Indiana losing its star. This is the WNBA losing the one gravitational force, pulling everything together.
Look, I think Stephen A. is 100% correct on this. At the end of the day, you already see people actually saying, hey, I'm not watching for 2 weeks. I'm not tuning in for 2 weeks. And it's really bad news for the Mystics and the Sky, because both of those teams moved those games to big arenas. So it's like, now that she's not playing, what is that attendance going to look like? The viewership, right? The viewership is going to plummet. I already know, because majority of the people that's watching the Indiana Fever wants to see Caitlin Clark. And sad to say it, a lot of them only want to see Caitlin Clark.
Clark isn't just scoring buckets. She's the magnet. She's the reason people drag their kids into packed arenas. She's the reason casual fans flip over to ESPN2 instead of binging another Netflix show. She's the reason jerseys keep selling out. Remove her, and the Fever are just another team clawing for relevance in a league that can't afford to be irrelevant. And here's what has Stephen A. fuming. This was entirely preventable. Injuries are part of sports. Yes. But when your most valuable player is slammed, hacked, shoved, and practically assaulted every night while refs swallow their whistles, that's not bad luck. That's negligence. Clark's been hit with more cheap shots than any player in recent memory, and the league let it slide. These weren't simple fouls. They were WWE audition tapes masquerading as defense. And the WNBA's response? Shrug. Pretend it's normal. Meanwhile, Stephen A. is probably smashing remotes at home, shouting, "Protect her, damn it." And he's right. This isn't just disappointment, it's malpractice.
Everybody was moving Caitlin Clark games to bigger facilities because everyone was selling tickets. There were ratings. It was a ratings bonanza. Now with Caitlin Clark not playing, what do? Well, when you change your situs, guess what? You can't change it back.
Yep. The tickets are literally half the price, and there are entire sections of the stadium that have not sold any tickets.
The receipts don't lie either. Even in a loss to the Liberty, Clark still drew 2.22 million viewers on CBS, the second highest WNBA rating ever on that network. That kind of draw from a regular season game is unheard of. That's what star power looks like. But now, without her, those numbers are about to nosedive. Imagine being the marketing executive trying to sell ad space right now. Well, we had 2 million viewers, but now our star is limping. Sponsors see it. Networks see it. Everyone knows what's coming. And Stephen A., who lives for receipts, is licking his chops, ready to drop the ratings cliff notes on live TV.
2.2 million average viewers
tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark and the Fever take on the Liberty.
Peaking at 3.2 million viewers is crazy for the WNBA, even for the Fever.
Became the 6th most watched WNBA regular season or playoff game.
The sting here is sharper because it didn't have to end this way. If the league had simply admitted what was clear from day one, that Clark wasn't just another player, she was the player, things could have been different. Instead, they downplayed her impact, acted embarrassed by her popularity, and let bitter veterans throw shade. They treated her as a disruptor, not a savior. But every ticket sold, every TV record broken, and every headline written proved she was the engine. Now that she's sidelined, all those people who scoffed at her impact are about to learn the hardest lesson of all. She wasn't hyped. She was the whole show.
She came into the league last year with no break whatsoever between the college game and the pro game and did her thing. Ended up as an all-star, ended up being 4th in the league in MVP voting, was the clear winner for Rookie of the Year. No competition whatsoever in that regard when it was really all said and done. We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had.
Clark wasn't just boosting the league. She was transforming it. Families who'd never even thought of the WNBA were planning summer vacations around Fever games. Kids were copying her 3ES logo at playgrounds across the country. Women's basketball was finally cool, finally trending, and finally in the national spotlight. And all of that momentum rested on her shoulders. Now those fans are looking around and saying, if she's not playing, why am I watching? That's the nightmare scenario. Stephen A. has been warning about it. Because here's the truth. Clark isn't just the best player right now. She's the bridge. The fragile link between the WNBA's struggling past and the explosive future it could have had. Without her, they go back to begging networks for 30-second highlight packages, back to half-empty gyms, and back to being a niche product instead of a national conversation. She's not a player. She's an economic engine.
Higher television ratings, higher attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized it. But you didn't do it.
Let's call it what it is. Malpractice from the league. Clark's been battered with elbows, blindsided off the ball, shoved into screens, and checked like it's the NHL, not the WNBA. And through it all, Angel Burt and her referees said nothing. No fines, no suspensions, no accountability. They let open season happen on their cash cow. And now the cow is down. And Stephen A. isn't just angry. He's practically shouting, "You had one job, protect her." Fans aren't just disappointed, they're enraged. Social media is drowning in posts from people swearing they won't watch until Clark returns. Some are openly boycotting broadcasts. Others are selling their tickets. And honestly, who can blame them? They didn't tune in for league parity or to watch Angel Reese fake another injury. They tuned in for Caitlin Clark. And without her, the magic is gone. Watching a WNBA game without Clark is like ordering a pizza and getting handed a salad. Sure, it's technically food, but nobody's excited about it.
You literally cannot make this up. When she's not playing, ticket prices, merchandise sales plummet. Viewership declines when she is not suited up in uniform. The numbers do not lie, guys. Caitlin Clark is the biggest box office attraction in the WNBA, period. Facts over feeling.
And now the WNBA is staring at the fallout it created. Ratings will tank, attendance will sag, and sponsors will grumble. And when that happens, Stephen A. will be there on live television waving the receipts and roasting Angel Burt, the refs, and every hater who thought Clark was just hype. Because when you mistreat your biggest star, when you refuse to protect her, when you let jealousy dictate your officiating, the collapse is on you. The WNBA had lightning in a bottle. Caitlin Clark was that lightning. And now with her sidelined, the storm is coming. These next few weeks won't just prove Stephen A. right. They'll define whether the WNBA can ever learn from its mistakes or whether it'll sit back and watch its future walk out the door. If you support Caitlin, then comment baby goat over baby giraffe. Let's go. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next.